It's not working. It says live, but sending data, streaming. Let's see, YouTube. Okay, it says like it's working. Okay. And Twitch, Twitch is up too.
Which is shown to be up.
Okay. All right. It looks like we're all up. All right. Okay. So we just finished the first episode. I already had a ton of notes in my head on the first episode, right at the very beginning, like the first scene. Okay, so what are our overall thoughts of the first episode?
I am reeling still. Holy crap.
So what would you rate the first episode?
Are we doing like out of 5 or out of 10?
Out of 10. First note was Jaehaerys always that hot. So with Jaehaerys, they made him look a little bit, I believe I saw a note somewhere that they wanted him to look a little bit more like Jon Snow for some reason this season. So a lot of his styling is going towards that Jon Snow kind of look, because they're going to definitely be spending more time in Winterfell with the Starks than realistically they should, because they're the fan favorites. So we're going to spend a lot of time up in the north. So okay. All right, so you said out of 10, what would you rate it?
Oh god, out of 10, I probably would give it, I'm gonna say 8.
An 8.
What would you do?
I'm gonna be honest, I'd probably give it like a 6.5. Mostly because Blood and Cheese was in this episode, and it was insanely rushed. And insane,
it was very, very rushed.
Insanely under
there was so much build up to it to have it happen like that.
I'd give it an 8 too. Okay. Yeah, so there was...
Blood and Cheese is why it went down. I was behind it until we got there.
So in the book, when at this point in the story, we had Jace had went to the Vale, and then he spent time in the Vale with Lady Arryn, and then he went from the Vale to Winterfell. And it looks like in the series they cut that step out of going to the Vale and just jumped right to Winterfell. And he spent a lot of time at Winterfell too. So they cut like a lot of that out. And I'm assuming that with like Winterfell at least, and we are going to see the Vale this season because we have seen that in previews, and Lady Arryn we've seen in previews. But like, yeah, he doesn't just take him to the wall right then. So there was a huge jump in time there compared to like the books compared to this. So that was very jarring to me. But that was
we
also
don't know necessarily how long he had been there. But he did receive the Raven when he was there, so it couldn't have been all that.
Well, because there was gossip that while he was in Winterfell, he got married to Sarah Snow. And so it needs to be at least some time. I think there is some kind of mention in the book of how long it is. But we're definitely going to go back to Winterfell. Like, that's for sure. It was also kind of odd that we came in on Craig Stark talking. I thought for a moment it was Jace talking, because that would have made more sense. But I don't know why we started on Craig and Stark talking. Like it's because like as the audience we had never met him before, so it's just kind of a weird way to start it. And then I was really enjoying like the middle part, and then the end of Blood and Cheese. That was just it felt super rushed. I thought it was Jace.
I already knew who it was. I was like, who is that? Like, I ended up answering my question, but I was like, I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I picked up on the accent that it was Kragan quite fast, but yeah, he took him. That was very fast. So that was a way to start it. All right, let me scrub through the episode. All right. So we start at Winterfell. They go up to the wall, takes them up there. And in the books, these two have a very good relationship, and it looks like that's what we're going to see this season, which is not surprising at all. Very looking forward to seeing more Cregan Stark, for sure, and I'm very looking forward to seeing more of Jace as well, because I think that the actor doing Jace is actually doing an amazing job. It's a very, very difficult role to do, I think. Cregan Stark looked like the guy they got for young Ned Stark. So Cregan Stark's actor is young Uhtred. So that always makes me very happy when I see him. But it also is like we got so close to having Uhtred in this show. And they did the younger. But yes, he played young Uhtred.
We got one of the Uhtred's.
He played young Uhtred in The Last Kingdom, like when he was like, what was it? How old was he at the beginning of the book?
Oh god.
8?
I think like 8, yeah.
Yeah.
I read the book, I should know that.
I know you did. But we saw that they were you know, having a good relationship. We go to Dragonstone, right? Dragonstone, and we see that basically while Rhaenyra is gone, that Daemon and oh my gosh, what is her name? Rhaenys are basically keeping patrol, and Daemon's very eager to go to battle, and Daemon is very angry at everybody who could have killed them and didn't kill them. We saw that. Okay, so we actually spent a lot of time in not the Red Keep. Oh my gosh, King's Landing. Daemon is I constantly fuck up Targaryen. Young Uhtred, son of Uhtred. Yeah. So we actually spent a lot of time in King's Landing this episode, and we get to see more of the Greens and the dynamic between the Greens, which I think is really good, because from what I understand, they wanted to, for the first season, be more of like a team black, and then they wanted this one to feel more team green. I don't think there's any way you're gonna make a lot of the audience, like me included, you're gonna make us go team green, but that's what the intent's probably gonna be with this season, and we kind of see that. We saw, like, what was it, the very first scene that Alicent comes in? Hold on, go check.
Is it the scene with Kristen?
Yes. So the very first scene that we see Alicent back, she is being. Oh, actually, before that, we saw oh my gosh, Helena interact with Aegon, which is always very interesting to me because they are, at this time, they have 2 kids and they are married. They have 2, right? Just the 2.
Yes, I believe they just have.
I did love the scene between Rhaenys and Daemon. Yes, and you could actually see like this 2 sides fighting against each other in that scene. She's the one that understands what Rhaenyra's going through emotionally, and Daemon just can't get to that emotional place because he's had a lot of loss as well, and this is technically his like stepson that died. But Daemon doesn't deal with his emotions. His way of dealing with emotions is through anger, which would be seen like in the last season.
Yeah, so he wants revenge.
That's how he deals with his emotions. I actually really liked this scene with Aegon and Helena, and seeing more of their dynamic, especially after they have the children. I adored the scene of showing Aegon with young Jaehaerys. It's Jaehaerys, I believe, right? The son.
It is Jaehaerys.
Yeah,
Yes,
I adored that
it is
scene.
Jaehaerys, and oh my gosh,
So
that was
freaking cute. Which is part of why I was so like let down with how Blood and Cheese was, because I thought that they were going to be building up to a more graphic scene like it is
also
in the books.
seeing also seeing Aegon still as a person, not just like as
Yeah, he has a lot
just
of
this like
he's
evil
very
king
fleshed out.
figure. Like he is very fleshed out. Like he's not a good king. Yeah, he's still a very engaging
I
character.
love watching Jaehaerys
Um,
terminate the Lannisters. I know, I love that so much. But yes, they definitely fleshed him out. I don't know the actor that plays him. I think he's a popular actor that plays Aegon, but he's doing a fantastic job. I really like his acting in this scene, and I really like how he's giving Aegon more personality, compared to last season where he was just like a drunk.
and you
um,
can also see that
he's really
like,
channeling his father.
and he's also, yeah, he's really channeling his father, and he's growing past like the fact that his mother never really showed him any love, and he did seem to genuinely care for his son.
I can't tell
Like,
though if he like is for the small folk or if he's for the small folk for appearances.
I think he's for the small folk primarily because he wants to seem like
I don't know, maybe he
um
just has this like this
I
need
think
to
he
be
kind of just
liked
wants
by
everyone to
everybody.
like him. Yeah, exactly. I think he just really wants to be seen as a good king and wants to be respected.
I love
Is kind
Jaehaerys
of more the
turning
vibe I got from
Lannisters.
him.
Yeah,
Yeah, Loris
Laras.
is specifically call out his
So
similarities to his dad.
Laris is a character I'm actually very interested in seeing in this season because there's not a ton of information of him in the books. So he's very much like a blank slate of a character for them to do as they want with it. So I'm very excited to see him. I it's very interesting that they just ripped the band-aid off with Kristen Cole and Allison, which is not
Twice.
something that's confirmed in the
He did
books.
it twice.
They did it twice. Twice. But that's the first scene we saw.
In case you missed it at the beginning, we're bringing this up again.
Yes, they're like we're giving this we're bringing this up one more time. But yes, the scene with little Jaehaerys at the council meeting with
Um,
Aegon, absolutely adorable.
oh my
Let me
god,
go
it was
ask about this.
so
I
cute.
think in TOS.
They were so. Oh my god,
Yeah,
and
he
the
look
fact that he kept
at it.
stealing the little orb.
Oh my god,
But
him
no, I
stealing,
definitely.
him tormenting the Lannisters is just amazing. So
I feel bad for Aegon, and another time he would have been a wonderful king. I think definitely he took
I
more after his father than his mother, and I think in a time of peace he probably would have been, especially if he hadn't been pushed into it so hard by his mom. Like he has a lot of the intent to do good, and that could either be because he wants to be seen as a good kid or because he actually wants to help people, and it could go either way. It doesn't necessarily matter too much why he's doing what he's doing if the end result is still kind of the same, like helping people. And I think that he could have been a good king
the
if he
bones
had
part
more
of that.
support, um, and also if it was.
Yeah, I kind of wish that they didn't do it in the first episode with Allison and Kristen Cole, even though it was the chemistry was already there. I wish that there was more build up to that because yeah, like I wish that there was more build up to that. So I do remember seeing some early reports of this episode that this episode is slow. I don't think this episode's slow. I think it does a lot of really great character building, and it is a slower episode. However, if you know what's going to happen in the books, it's just chaos from here out for
Yeah,
this season
it's
and the next
slower
season.
episode,
It's just a
and I think it's
constant battle. So I would much rather take a slower episode before we're just constantly in battle. And I think that we built up very well, and we built up areas that we needed to build up. So I don't have an issue with it being considered a slow episode.
yeah, I do wish that they had positioned the timing a little bit differently between Rhaenyra or between the slow kind
Rhaenyra
of build up and then the very fast rush
Rhaenyra will
of
marry her
throwing blood
uncle.
at the end.
Daemon, it's in the books. Yep, she's already married to Daemon, and they already have kids at this point. They have two, actually, I believe.
I believe they do.
Which we
Both
see,
sons, right?
yes, both sons. Which we see, the one at the funeral for Luke when they throw the little dragon in the fire. But she's already married to
A little
Daemon.
boy that Jason
Uh, um, Aegon and Helena are already married. They have the twins in this episode. So yeah, that happened last season. Last season they were married, and which was, yeah, in the books they already have the kids at this point. Because she was pregnant with Daemon's daughter in the last season. And lost the daughter, obviously, last season. So yes, this council meeting episode was amazing. There's amazing acting. The child actor was amazing in this. I loved seeing the Lannisters. I love seeing Aegon in the council meeting and how he behaves. He's very much like a rambunctious teen, basically. How old is he at this time? Do you have any idea?
I think he's in his early 20s. I think. Um, that being said, he definitely gives like college dropout vibes. Like he's showing up to class on a technicality, but he is absolutely wasted.
Yeah. So yeah, we can see that he's just he wants to be king, but he doesn't want to be king.
Want to put in the work.
He also wants
He
to
wants to be revered as king without actually putting in the work.
yeah. He also wants to be loved by everybody. So the scene after the council meeting, we see Rhaenyra flying and finding the remains of the dragon with Luke, which is pretty accurate to the books. Very interesting. And then we see the what is that called? Petitions, where the town folk go up to King Aegon and ask for things. I love this scene. I love this scene. This is a good scene when he came and asked for the sheep, and Aegon's just like, just give him sheep. I love that scene, and I loved Otto Hightower in this scene. Just being like, no, we can't do that, and he's just like, but what if we don't tell them? And he's like,
they don't have to know.
They don't have to know.
They won't know.
They won't know. Yeah.
He's very, very naive in that respect.
He's very much like his father in this scene, and that's where Larys pulls him aside and tells him about that. I very much liked this scene. Very much liked this scene. I really liked seeing Aegon's character development from last season to this season. Let's see. And then, yeah, Larys is also planting the seeds of Otto Hightower to be replaced, which I don't want to spoil it. But yes, he is planting the seeds that Otto Hightower is going to get replaced this season. Or that he should be replaced. I should say that. Okay, what else? We have a scene with Alicent and her father, which is also a really good scene because I really like seeing Alicent and her father interact. One, I love Otto Hightower because I love the actor for Otto. I think he does a fantastic job. And I love seeing the two of them interact because they're just kind of like on a very similar wavelength, I guess.
It's definitely a really interesting comparison to the way that Otto and Allison interact and the way that Cersei and Tywin interact.
You think so?
Is there's more respect
There's definitely more
from
respect.
Otto towards Allison. Um, and you still kind of see that attitude coming from Allison of being like, you disrespect me because I'm your daughter, but you cannot show that or else they're going to not listen to me either.
Yeah. There's definitely more respect
Cersei
there.
was just as upset that her father didn't respect her and that he kind of went against her wishes, but he showed her more deference in public, yet she still had less respect from her son.
Also, we still have not heard anything about Daron, which is interesting because he's such an important character. They have not brought him up yet. Like the people who are watching this and have not read the books have no idea who that is. It's going to be very interesting with him just being like, by the way, there is a fourth child. We just never told you guys about it because he's been up at oh my gosh, what is that called? The high tower. It. Oh my gosh, what is the high tower place called? Old
Oh my
Town.
gosh. Yep.
Because that's where he is in the story. Is he's in Old Town, but they never brought him up last season, and they still haven't brought him up this season, which is very interesting because he plays such a pivotal role later. I'm guessing he would play it in. I'm trying to think. Season 3 is when he would come in, but he is a very important character that can't really be recast. We'll see. But I'm very like I would have thought that they would have planted some seeds of his existence by now, but they haven't, which is
Right.
very
Even just
interesting.
mentioning him in distance and being like, hey, remember that guy who's off in Old Town right now?
Yeah, because he's a member of the family. So
Literally. And no one talks about him.
no. So it's gonna be
He's like the Bruno of the family. They're just ignoring him.
yeah. So like yeah, there is a whole nother child that's in Old Town that is on the Team Green that has not been brought up at all yet.
No one has ever
He is at Old
this.
Town in the story now, but yeah, you would think that they would have brought him up at some point, but they still haven't in the show.
You would think.
Okay, let's see where is. Okay, we see some interactions. Okay, we see Damon interact with the White Worm, and I'm totally blanking her name. Missaria. So Missaria does play a very important role in the Team Black, and she plays the similar role that Larry plays for Team Green. So I don't know what to say about it because like I'm not a big fan of her as a character in general.
I'm also not a huge fan of her.
The actress is doing better than she did last season for her. I'm just not a huge fan of her character. She is very lucky that she has all the knowledge that she does have because if she was any other person, Damon would have killed her at this point. Now, this is also the girl that Damon claimed to have gotten pregnant in season 1, but didn't actually get pregnant. Like, it was a fake thing. So, when he took, I forget where he took, but this is the same girl, the White Worm. And we will be seeing more of her. She is basically the Master of Whispers for Team Black, which I would never trust her because she very much shows that she plays both sides already.
Yeah, she really didn't even deny it. She was like, "Yeah, no, I'm definitely playing.
I play both sides." Like, why?
Like, what do you mean? Of course I'm playing both sides, but like, you can't really blame me. Like, he paid me.
If she was any other person, I feel like Damon would have killed her. He's just itching to kill something.
I think the only reason he didn't kill her too is because he realizes that he needs someone on his side. she was able to get in, and she already has a foot in the door with the Greens. As long as it's got the coin, literally.
Okay. So then we see Rhaenyra return to Dragonstone, and we finally see some of her council people. And she says she wants Aemon Targaryen, which is the person who killed her son. So we can see her wanting vengeance a bit. I guess Daemon takes that info and decides, I'm gonna do a son for son. Also, yes, I totally forgot. In the conversation with Otto Hightower and Alicent, they do bring up Aemon's losing his eye and how he had never gotten retribution for that, and that's caused him to be an angry child, which I actually thought was very interesting that they brought that up. Because when he lost his eye, um,
I would claim that Vhagar is decent retribution.
yeah, he got Vhagar. So I don't know. It was very interesting that they brought that back up. They just had to mention
Yeah.
that.
And it's also like one of those things where it's like each side has things that they can't let go of that keep pushing this whole situation on. And that's
Yeah.
one where Allison cannot concede on it.
He was already an
Um,
angry child before the loss of his eye.
he was. Losing his eye didn't necessarily
No,
help, but it was not the
it was
cause.
not the cause. I can't wait to see more scenes between Aemond and Alicent. Okay, and then
I want to see more scenes with Aemond in general because he fascinates me.
so if you haven't read the books or know what's going to happen in season 1, or season 2, the way it's going to work is season 2 is going to be Aegon's season. Because of what happens at the end of season 2, season 3 is going to really be Aemon's season. So we're really going to see him really flourish in season 3, and we're going to see a lot of him in season 3 because of results of what happens in season 2. Not saying we're not going to see Aemon, we're going to see a lot of Aemon, but in season 3 the dynamics are going to
He's going
change
to be
and
more of
everything.
the primary
Yeah,
focus.
he's going to be more of a
Even
primary
said I got
focus
a
for the queen.
dragon, and I is a fair price to pay in season 1.
Yeah, he
He
even
did,
said that.
yeah. Even he is not really all that upset
Even
about having
like,
lost the eye. He sees it as a fair exchange.
yeah, even when, yeah, he even said that, like, it was a fair exchange. So yeah,
And more so, like he got the good deal there. It's like, okay, I only lost an eye. I got Vhagar. I'm happy with the way this turned out. It's really his mom that's not letting that one go.
okay. And then we see Rhaenyra and Jace finally reunite. I really wish that I don't know how to. I don't know because I really wish this was drawn out with them not seeing each other longer. But then I feel like if it was a more drawn out, the audience would have not liked it as much because they want like fast, fast, fast. But I wish that there was a longer drawn out between them because then it would have made this more of a heart wrenching scene more than it already is. They both
Yeah,
actors did a great job with it.
I agree. The actors did a really good job with it. I do like the fact that it happened so fast, and only because I feel like neither of them have had any time to come to peace with what's happened. None of them have had any time to heal. And I feel like if in theory it got pressed out farther, there may not have been that emotional overflow that came from it. Because you see that he's trying to be the dutiful son, and my queen, like, here's the information I've
Yeah,
gathered, here's what's happening in the war effort, and he just completely breaks down and can't.
yeah.
Like, he's trying to speak and trying to be like, okay, here's the good news I have, and he just can't. And like,
No, it was
as
really
opposed to
good.
where Allison would have just been like, listen, you need to get your shit together. Like, she just comes over and she hugs him, and it's like, okay, I can understand it happening this soon if only for the fact that like they have had no time to recover at all yet.
Yeah. And then we have
Because Jace is literally the last person to find out about the stuff. Yeah,
yeah,
he
he
had
is.
no time to prepare. He ran out of the North,
Yeah.
went home.
Yeah. And then we have the funeral for Luke. Very sad. Very sad and touching. At the same time, we see Alicent lighting the candles for everyone who's passed in association with this war, which was at this point Viserys and Lucerys, which I thought was very interesting. We'll see if they continue that throughout the series. Alicent, so Alicent is a high tower. The high towers are very religious people. So that kind of thing I think goes really well with her character, and I do hope that they bring that through the rest of the season, because there will be a lot at the end of it all. Okay. And then, all right. So finally, we get to the blood and cheese scene. Okay. So here we have the blood and cheese scene starts at -28. So how long was this episode? I can't. Was it 60 minutes? No, hold on.
It was definitely less than 20 minutes because you had said there was 20 minutes left before that happened. So
okay, so the episode was like 60 minutes long. 60 minutes long or so. This season this started at -28, and so this scene took about 18 minutes to do. It felt super rushed. And this was a scene that a lot of people who read the book weren't really looking forward to, but it was one of the more graphic scenes,
it was
I guess.
hyped up too.
It
was really hyped up.
Mm-hmm. It's one of the more graphic
and
scenes in the novels.
Season 1.
I thought, yeah, it was like
They
10
really
minutes. So
breathe.
from the time that Daemon gets on shore to the beheading of the child, that whole scene took like 15 minutes or so. And like, let me know if you, as the audience who has not read it, if you guys got lost here, because I feel like the way it was done could have been a little bit confusing if you have not read it or know it. See, you already knew it. I knew it.
I knew it. I never read it though. And that being said, I was still a little bit lost because, and forgive me if I'm wrong here, Daemon said that he wanted the guy with the eye patch, Aemond Targaryen, very specifically, dead. How did we end up with the baby? That is not Aemond Targaryen. That child has both eyes.
So he said a son for her son.
So they just picked another child?
So they picked Aegon's son.
But it has nothing to do with Aemond.
No.
Really? I mean, it's his nephew. But...
No, it has nothing to do with Aemond.
Which is not what Daemon said. And it's not what Rhaenyra said. They just took the executive decision into their own hands.
We'll see how that's perceived the next scene, and like how, like in terms of like how how Daemon explains it to Rhaenyra, because I'm very interested in seeing that as well, because she did definitely say Aemond. And he said,
and he said Daemon too.
Wait here, one eye. But then it's like the son for her son, so.
Okay. He specifically said Aemond Targaryen, white hair, one eye, you can't miss him. And they ended up with a baby. Which, to be fair, white hair is not necessarily super identifying amongst the Targaryens. The one eye part, they're the worst assassins in Westeros. They really are.
So this scene cannot be over this scene, if this scene is over by the next episode, a lot is gonna have to been cut out. Um, the worst assassins in Westeros. But in theory, some more of this will be in the next episode. But yeah, it felt very rushed. As somebody who watches a ton of like horror and stuff like that, it wasn't very graphic at all. I feel like we saw a lot more graphic scenes in Game of Thrones compared to this. With this, the death of a child and a very young child, so I understand why they didn't show it, or show much of it at all. You do hear the sounds, which is as disturbing. But like, if you didn't like read or know it, I feel like you'd be really super lost of like what's going on here. Who are these people?
Right.
So these people are the rat catcher that is Cheese. That is somebody that the White Worm knew, who knows the inside and out of the Red Keep, from being a rat catcher. Blood is the guy, the muscle. He is somebody that was on the Gold Cloaks that is still devoted to Daemon. He's the person, he paid him. So that's who he is. It's not very well explained in the show here who they are and their relation, but that's who they are. So he is a Gold Cloak. You do see the Gold Cloak on him, but if you, I guess, aren't paying too much attention to that, you would have been very confused. You've never read it, and I know exactly what's going on. Okay, so yes, he is a former Gold Cloak. The other guy is basically in the form of the White Worm. He does say call him Commander. But he is still loyal to Daemon. He's not loyal to the High Towers, which you do see him say, F the High Towers.
He makes his point of view on that very.
Because there is still some Gold Cloaks in King's Landing that is still loyal to Daemon, because Daemon did create the Gold Cloaks. We saw that in the first season.
And he gave them a lot of the prestige that they had and made
a lot
it
of the
more
prestige and a lot of money. A lot of money.
Yeah. Kind of allowed them to run rampant and do whatever they wanted a little bit too, which made them loyal to him.
So
they didn't ask Helena where Aemon was, got their done. Yeah, they could have at least like tried to find the right guy. And it's like, I feel like that it would have gotten better if there was even a tiny attempt at finding the right guy first. And then
I feel
something went wrong and they had to settle.
I just feel like this whole scene isn't that great, because like even Helena's acting and her performance in this scene, the actress that plays Helena, it's not that great, because it's kind of, I don't know, not convincing in a way. Does that make sense? Like, because like they just ask her which is the boy, and she just points to the boy.
Yeah, and there's that whole debate that they have of like, is she telling the truth? And the one guy's like, she's telling the truth. And it's like, okay, but how do we know that? Are we taking a guess 50-50?
So in the books, they ask her, and this is why something that happens to her later, because this was so traumatizing to her, and this is supposed to be a very traumatizing scene. They ask her which of her children does she want to die, and she is forced to pick between her children, which is much more traumatic and much more telling. In this one, they just ask her, which one of your children is the boy? And she just tells them. It's not the fault of the actress, because like that's just how she was directed to do the scene, but it was definitely, it was a low point, I feel like, in the episode, but that should be the high point, because that's the point that a lot of people were not looking forward to, but is one of the most memorable moments in the Dance of the Dragons, because of how like bad it is.
Yeah. And also the fact they didn't let it breathe at all. They introduced it and then filled it out essentially all within 15 minutes,
Yeah.
where I feel like they at least introduced it, um, basically had the point where it stopped off with basically, okay, like my job was to get you into the castle. The rest is you. And then
Yeah.
fades to black. I
And
think
it
that would have gone a lot better because that leaves you to wait and think about what's going to happen next, knowing where it's going, and then having it open the next episode on that and give you more time in that episode to fill out the blood and cheese as opposed to having it be a 5 minute little thing.
yeah, if
I
I'm
feel like it would
I'm
have
trying to
been
remember correctly. So, in the blood and cheese scene in the book, I know Ellison is there. And that's part of why it has to be continued in the next scene, or they're cutting out a lot of it. But then I'm also thinking the way that they set this up, Kristen Cole would be there as well. So we'll see what they do with it. It This scene was supposed to be very like shocking, kind of like the child birth scene in season 1, because if you remember, that was in the very first episode as well, to really start the season off with a bang. And I really, really, really think that they missed that point, and that's why the episode rates so low for me, because they missed
I
a
agree.
huge point. um
Yeah.
I know, like, I've heard a lot of people say that it's up there with like the Red Wedding. So for it to have such a poor impact is kind of very disappointing to me.
And Red Wedding is something that like lives on in like
It lives on in infancy.
it really does. Like people who don't really even know that much about Game of Thrones have heard of the Red Wedding situation.
And then, like, I just felt
And
like
they may not know it well, but
with
like
with
this
Helena,
just seemed
yeah, like even for like Helena, it felt like awkward, rushed, like just gave in really.
it's
Like,
like a
and I know that's kind of her character,
different.
but it doesn't help with the atmosphere of the scene.
Yeah, and I get the fact that it's like also like people react to situations differently, and that she could have just been frozen in fear, and she did try and reason her way out and be like, listen, like I have something that's of value. Like take this and leave. And I think that showed something of her character, trying to negotiate a bargain for her children's lives. That being said, the I do understand her taking the one child that is not being murdered and just running and being like, if I can't save them both, I'm going to save one. I don't like the fact that they removed the choice of which child are you killing,
Yeah, because
kind of
it's
a
more of
thing.
like a witness thing versus I felt guilty, and that's part of what drives her character going forward, is that she feels so much
Exactly.
guilt due to the blood and cheese scene because she made that choice.
Yeah,
And
they
she
gave her
didn't.
a choice to make, and she decided which of her children
Yeah.
was going to die, which child she had to sacrifice. She can't save them both, and she chose that child got killed. And I could be wrong,
No,
but
so
didn't she choose?
they picked. So
I
she
could be
picked a
wrong, but didn't?
child. So in the book, she picked a child that she wanted to kill. They made her pick one. So they killed the opposite child. So she picked the daughter to die.
That's what I was trying to say.
They picked the daughter. She
Yeah,
picked the daughter to die. And then they ended up killing the son. And then told the daughter, "Do you hear that? Your mom chose you to die." So that child is living with that memory that her mom picked her to die over her brother. And then that also causes a lot of internal anguish with Helena, which really propose her character moving forward. So we'll see how
yeah,
it's
that's
done.
what I was trying to say. Yeah,
we'll see how it's done because I just feel like there wasn't a lot there to not really trauma, like, because it's all really traumatizing, but like I'm trying to think.
They rushed through the moment as opposed to having us linger in the moment and the
Yeah, it
emotions, and
needed
I
to
feel like
linger
that
longer,
really it did for sure.
which is ironic because everyone said this, like, not everybody, but people were saying that this episode's slow. But to me, that scene is so rushed.
I agree, 100%.
It's almost like rushed because, like, we didn't see, like, we're gonna go back to the veil and things like that, but we skipped over all that. And then that scene was so rushed. So that was a major disappointment. Still very much looking forward to this season and seeing the next episode. But yeah, this one was probably 6.5 for me because mostly because of the blood and cheese scene. I really thought that the blood and cheese was going to be in the next episode, and I'm really, really surprised that it was almost all in this episode. So
Yeah, I expected it kind of to at least be halved, like I mentioned earlier, or like part of it, but
we'll see how it plays out next week. I'm looking forward to it. Um, yeah, there's going to be definitely more fallout in the beginning of the next episode. But I really, really wish that they had Allison there like she is in the books. Because if we had Allison there and we had Helena there, I feel like the two actors could have played off of each other more and created more of a
yeah,
disturbing kind of
yeah,
scene than just Helena's actress there.
yeah.
So
And also, I feel like if that would have drawn it out, that would have given us more to work with in that scene for sure. Um, it would have given something to play off of.
Allison's too
There,
busy with
yeah,
Crispy. She's too busy
exactly.
banging
And
Kristen Cole. She's
I
too.
feel like they introduced that dynamic between Kristen Cole and Allison earlier in the episode, and having to restate it during Blood and Cheese just takes you out of the Blood and Cheese, and you're like, God, no, there's Allison and Kristen Cole going on it again. God,
Oh my gosh.
I
Okay.
feel like that honestly took me out of the entire situation. It's like, oh, she just walked in on her mom and her
And
boyfriend.
she just like it's just like so natural to her. It's like how many times has she done this?
Literally, and her mom doesn't really seem that upset. Like, not necessarily upset, but like, not really that surprised. She's like, oh, Helena again. And Helena is obviously going through some stuff, but I have a feeling this probably is not the first time she's witnessed her mom with
No, it's
Kristen
definitely not the
Cole.
first. I kind of laughed because it was kind of ridiculous.
She just walked in and sat on the floor. She's like, okay, this is normal.
Yeah. So, all
It's like
right.
definitely not a normal situation, and she's also like highly traumatized.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to seeing more of the Fallout, but with the first episode of this season, it really should have been more of a bang. I almost feel like some of this stuff should have been at the end of season 1, and then it should have started at like more closer to Blood and Cheese and take up the whole time of episode 1 so that it started off with a bang, because season 1 episode 1 started off with a bang because we had the death of Rhaenyra's mother in episode 1, and obviously we have the death of the child in this, but it just wasn't done that well. But I don't know, I'm also a horror person, so like my idea of horror and most people's idea of horror is a little more skewed.
Yeah, that was weird tonally. It really was a weird change tonally. It's
It
like,
was weird.
why do we have to restate this dynamic between them when we've already been shown it in the same episode? Um, and I feel like Allison would have been better used in that scene of Blood and Cheese as opposed to just getting overly friendly with Kristen
You're
Cole
so
again.
cool. Okay. Who do you have as your MVP this episode? Which character do you have?
Oh, God.
I think
Uh,
last season most of our MVPs was Damon almost
I
every
love him.
episode. Um
Oh God. I feel like honestly, if I have to pick an MVP, it would prob probably be our dearly departed baby.
Oh my
uh,
gosh. I
Paris.
I I think that for me, my MVP was definitely Aegon this episode. The actor that did Aegon did a fantastic job just fleshing him out more, and I think he did a fantastic job with his acting in this episode. I really enjoyed him. I really enjoyed him every time he was on the screen, even when he was drunk. It was hilarious. So my MVP for this episode went to Aegon. Loved the scene with him and his son. So cute, and I love that addition that they added to it. When that scene actually happened, when I was watching it, I was like, "Oh my god, it's gonna make Blood and Cheese so much harder when it comes." But it just
I wish they had given us more time to sit with little baby Paris as a character. Uh,
MVP was Jaceres. He did a lot. This episode's 2 seasons. Yeah, he's my second. He's my runner-up because the actor that did him did a fantastic job as him.
I
There's
almost mentioned him too.
they definitely have like those Jon Snow kind of resemblance there, but he's still playing a different character. So we're getting that
Yeah,
Jon
and the scene with
Snow
his
kind of
was very
callback, but he's still a different character. But the actor did a fantastic job, so he's definitely my runner up.
yeah.
Lose LVP once again is Chris McCall, which I think was ours as well last season. Actually, you know
LVP,
what?
I would say is a
I'll be
three-way tie.
controversial. I'll go
Let's
controversial of
choose
who
it,
mine.
Kristen Cole.
I'll be controversial of who mine is.
Oh, let's go.
Mine is going to be Damon in this episode. Because he didn't do anything this episode. I did like him going to King's Landing, but like all he did this episode was go up to people and be like, "Why didn't you kill them? Why didn't you kill them?" So it was either David or Rhaenyra, but we didn't see a lot of Rhaenyra, and I understand her loss more than Damon just being like, "Why didn't you kill him?" Damon is causing problems.
He's grieving too. Violently.
He's
grieving painfully. And wants to cause that pain other people.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, I mean he's definitely gonna be MVP in future episodes, Damon. So
I love Damon.
yeah, but Rhaenyra has one line in the whole episode. Yeah, I know I saw that was a complaint, but she actually they're giving her more to do in this season than she does in the books, which is going to be a very good thing. Because she doesn't do anything in the books during this time at all. So yeah, it's very interesting. We'll see how it's going to go forward. All right. Do you have anything else that you want to say with the recap of episode 1 for season 2? Anything in your notes?
I think we touched on pretty much everything in my notes. I really am looking forward to seeing more of Aemond and Aegon.
I'm really looking forward to seeing their
Particularly
relationship.
Aegon.
Yeah, we'll see a lot of Aegon.
Yeah, I want to see specifically. I want to see them interacting more, especially because we.
I'm looking forward to seeing the like his reaction to his son's death.
Same. Also, we saw that especially because he's always been a moderately cheerful character, even like if he doesn't want to be king per se. And I want to see more of that emotion coming from that situation. That being said, he also had that one scene where he was drunk and he was talking about like I can basically order my father to do anything.
Yeah.
I really want to see them in her. I want to see that dynamic.
I want everyone to I want
Oh,
them
it's
to
progress.
acknowledge that they have another brother.
I also want to acknowledge the other sibling.
The other sibling is just missing.
I feel like he's gonna show up and everyone's gonna be like, "Who are you?"
The audience
And
is
not
going
just
to be
like
very
audience
confused.
wise, like the family is just gonna be like, "Who are like?
The
Why are you in
family.
our like? I'm your brother. No, that's my brother. I'm your third brother or your second brother.
I think Aegon has a
Like,
bad
we don't have
conception
another
of
one.
Aemon's willingness to do as he says. I
I
agree.
agree.
But Aemon is
He's
pretty
also
loyal.
drunk, so
He is pretty
he is.
loyal, so
He's
okay.
very stabby, but like he's kind of by the rules stabby, as opposed to Damon, who's just yeah, he'll do whatever.
All right, I think that's it for our first recap of season 2. Very looking forward to the next episode. We are going to recap that episode. This is a shorter season than last season. I think last season was 10 and this is 8. And there is going to be a hiatus in the middle of it as well. So we are going to do episode 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I think it's going to take a hiatus and then the rest of it. So we will be back next week for episode 2. Very much looking forward to it. It'll be around the same time. So yeah, till next time. Have a good night, guys.